Welcome everybody to the Blue House Bull Session. Happy Wednesday, right? Wednesday sounds appropriate. How's everybody doing today? We are joined today by the illustrious, talented Jackson Perotti. A lot of you know him for his covers on YouTube, his musical output, his work with charity marathons. So today, we're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to make him talk about programming all day. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Fuzzy and Jay. Big blessings to you both. Happy Wednesday.
So you've been sneaking around behind my back. Jackson and I have been working for a while in both Python and JavaScript because those are two languages I know comparatively well. You have been learning Rust without me, and I don't know if I should be mortally offended or what.
Well, I have to start, Jay, by really putting you over. Jay has, for like the past year, Jay, you have been so instrumental and wildly helpful and supportive of me as I've been trying to learn how to put magical incantations into the computer and have it do cool things. So I can't thank you enough for all your patience and help with me as I've been doing this. And yes, you know, at first you had to hold my hand and tell me how to walk. And then, you blink, and then 2 seconds later, I'm a angsty teen, and I'm learning Rust behind your back and like hiding the screen. No, it's nothing. I'm learning about the document object model. Don't look at the crab.
You know, it's been neat to see your progress, though, and this is something Fuzzy and I have talked about a lot. I am glad I've had an opportunity to work with you on this. A lot of people know that as part of my day job, I volunteer to teach high schoolers in an after-school program once a week. And in both of these environments, I have an opportunity to do something that wasn't provided for me when I was learning to program through school. I have personal connections outside of that. But a lot of times you are taught a specific language, a specific set of magic incantations, but not the mechanics of how to break down a program into a set of steps where you can figure out what to write in the first place, and building the shared language of how to describe how a program works outside of one specific language. As you've been doing some of these external tutorials, have you seen more of that in them? They are probably a lot more targeted like that.
It's really it's really been interesting as we've gone on. So I think where you first started me off is we first started with Scratch, which is like this is what you give to to a child adolescent, and you have a lot of experience teaching high schoolers, so you're great with me. You're very used to teaching like stoned out, brain dead, quasi humans, people that are barely even human beings, and throwing fighting you, throwing rocks. So like you're very used to dealing with a hostile environment, which is why you're really good with me. But see, I can be civilized. You have been instrumental in helping civilize me. I wear clothes now. I don't wet my pants as often.
You can't see his upper arms. That's alien to me. He has sleeves today.
I'm out of tank tops. That's why I'm out of tank tops. No, so you started me off with Scratch, and this is the pipeline, because like you start a kid off with Scratch, like in school, and you teach them, do a variable and do a loop and do the basic building blocks of what every programming language, I guess, on the planet can do. And then we were playing around in C, and like I think my experience with C early on was like in a video game where you'll be confronted by like the big boss, and the big boss just kicks the crap out of you.
It's that forced death cutscene, yeah.
The forced death cutscene, and then you have to play through the whole game to level up to the point where you can be. So I think that was my experience with C, where I at first I was trying it and like, man, this is really kicking my butt. But now I feel like I'm at a point where I can go back to C, and be like, okay, maybe I can know a little bit more of what's going on now. But maybe similar in the way that people learn spoken languages, natural languages. When you learn multiple spoken languages, you see the similarities between them. Take like two languages that are relatively similar, like English and Spanish. They both have nouns, adjectives, verbs, pronouns, tenses and cases and conjugations. Like you see a lot of the same things. The actual words and pronunciations are different. The magical incantation is different, but like you can see the structure behind it. And so I feel like my experience now, a little bit of JavaScript and Python, Now I'm trying to figure out Rust, a little bit of C. I see like the syntax and everything is all different, and different languages are good for different things, but they have many core things that are the same. So if I wanted to find some random new language, it'd be like, okay, how do I declare a variable in this language? This is like square one. So how do I do a for loop in this language? How do I define a function in this language?
And it's knowing the things that you can do and then figuring out how to do them from there.
And from there, you find out the peculiarities of each language. Like Rust has the thing that, like the borrow checker, which is not as common, and I'm in the process of learning that. So I really like that. With your help, I've been like sampling a bunch of different languages. Like a old country buffet style, Golden Corral style.
Seeing what you like in each of them, what you could do without, what things are genuine quality of life improvements, what things get in your way more than anything else. I definitely understand that.
Just getting sampler. I certainly prefer. I think I much prefer this method rather than like if I went to a school where it's like you're going to be learning C or you're going to be learning Java, and this is you're going to be your whole life, and all your assignments are just going to be this.
Fuzzy and I went to school right around the same time, and we had a unique advantage in that the advanced placement programming class that they offered, I was able to take it 3 separate times for 3 separate languages. It changed that much. Originally, it was offered in Pascal. From there, they moved it to C or C++ before they further moved it to Java, where it remains today. So, Fuzzy,
I took the last year of C++.
Oh, wow. And you still have 2 legs? You can blow one of them off?
Well, the weird thing is I was already taught C before I took that class. So I walked into there basically I looked at the teacher and said, I know more than you do. And he's like, yeah, probably. Just go sit down.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, we were with those same troublemaking youths. We were the, nose pickers and the hair pullers and whatever else we may be, for sure. And part of that comes from the fact that we came into it with a background in it. We basically shared an uncle who taught us both how to program. And I think that's...
I think another thing that... I think another important thing is that you mentioned by the time you were in high school, like they had just started that AP computer science. It was a new thing. So that's nice. And certainly as I'm learning, I'm really appreciating how many resources I have available as I'm learning. I've been learning this, in my adulthood. Anything I could find out, any information is immediately accessible. I'm learning all the languages I'm learning are very popular, widely used. Even Rust has been adopted very quickly in the past few years. So it's like anything I want to learn is very available, which probably was not the case when Fuzzy and you were younger. You had to work a lot harder to improve your skills.
He's just returned with a book, and once upon a time, programming knowledge came on pieces of paper bound together in glue.
Jay, you have improved. I'll contribute to the. Presentation.
Man, I don't have a cool book handy. Now I feel bad. All my cool books are hiding.
You don't have the LEET code, handbook, the demon code, the whatever it's called, Hellspeak, whatever those are.
This was reprinted with corrections in 1987. So when I walked into my AP computer class in
96, 97? 99, yeah.
99 or 2000, right around there, taking an AP computer science. I had already learned from literally the guy who made the language, the actual manual. And when the teacher said, I know more than you, I'm like, no, literally, I actually read the manual. I know more than you.
Yeah, I appreciate your efforts and your endeavors, Mr. I have used a computer before in my life teacher, but we've got some background.
Oh, what is this? Who is that? Oh my god!
It won't focus on it because this camera has a horrible focus length. But You can see roughly how fuzzy I was.
I see your shape. Yes. I
Yeah,
see
the
Yes.
name comes from somewhere. We didn't just pick it arbitrarily.
Yes.
That's nice. I'm surprised that you had that class so early. I would not have guessed that in 1999 that kind of class would have been available.
That's-
Anyone, much less an advanced placement.
That's very much when they just started to become available. We got to high school about the time they're like, oh shit, we need computers at some point in here somehow. And the benefit of having the AP courses is that there was already a prescribed curriculum for them. There was a test to teach too. So that was very helpful in getting them off the ground. Unlike the Latin
mentioned
class.
How quickly that tech changed. My sophomore year. So the year before I took the AP computer science class for C++, I took a intro to computer programming class where they taught us QBasic on computers that I swear to God were DOS based, and your programs ran differently if you got one of the good ones that ran at a slightly higher frequency versus if you got one of the bad machines that ran at a lower frequency, and the timing of your games were off because you timed things by just doing a for loop to pause a number of cycles.
Yeah.
And they did not realize that some of the machines were faster. And then the next year I took a AP computer science class in a different language. So it's like, it was rapidly developing when we went to school.
Yeah.
Well, certainly that kind of environment would could present you with unique challenges, such as, okay, I have these two horrible computers that are not the same. How can I write an application that performs similarly enough on these?
I can date the technology perfectly, and I think Jay may have sent you some of these books, the C++ for U++ books.
Jay, I'm not sure if you sent that one to me.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know if that one was in the list or not.
He sent me a small library.
The textbook came with a floppy in a pocket in the front that had the files that you needed for the book.
Nice.
That's the level of technology they were teaching. That's when we learned to program when rocks were still soft.
The earth was still cooling.
Yes.
The sand was dumber than dumb.
We had to carve our own curly braces off the mammoth tusks. Yeah, all of that.
These are your father's parentheses. A more dignified weapon.
From a civilized
Oh,
age.
my days. Well, like, of course, I can only imagine what might have been, but I can imagine, like, that must have felt like the Wild West. Like, you're really, like, on the frontier, at least for high school kids. Like, this is really cutting edge stuff. Your friends are not, like, doing anything like that, unless they're other computer nerds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're running under the assumption that computer nerds had friends at the time. This is before it was acceptable. Yes, but singular connection there. Computers are everywhere now, so you can like computers and still be a cool person. That has not historically been the case. So that has been a good change.
Back in your day, you had to keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
How many languages you knew, what you knew. Now you pretend kayfabe people and say, no, I don't really know what's going on.
And now it's the cool thing.
I don't know how to computer.
The nerds are in charge of the world. What's the Sam Altman? Software is eating the world. And it's the truth. Every business is being dictated by how interconnected you can make it, how fast you can make it run, how much you can take the work out of other people's hands. And I mean, that's true of technology in general, but it's at such an exponential rate of growth now that it's absolutely unreal. And it's becoming a skill that you have to be exposed to. Even if you're not deep into computer programming, you have to know a little bit about how they work in order to understand how to use them best still.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
I've really been enjoying my experience because I think one reason is because so much of I guess so much of everybody's life nowadays, more and more people all over the world are their lives involve computers in some way, or the internet, things like that, and certainly very much of my life and my business, people I talk to, people I interact with, the business that I do involves computers, pretty much all the time. So I really do enjoy, being able to, at least on a very, very shallow level, try to understand what's going on, or at least try to understand what I don't yet understand. At least try to get the scope of what's going on here. I don't know things down to the metal, like not that kind of thing, but I at least want to put in the effort to try to, learn what these machines are doing for me.
Yeah, and having that understanding of it gives you better access to what you can do with them as well. Although I got to say, I think we both kind of serve to open each other's eyes to the capability that a lot of the large language models and AI right now are giving us. Searching Google for something is cool, and often you'll find it. But you have to very carefully craft your search. You have to know what you're looking for specifically. Now we're at an age with ChatGPT where you can ask it a vague question and hold that type of conversation to get the piece of knowledge you want. And I have seen you make amazing use of this in a bot you've written for your Discord, for one thing, and also connected to your Twitch chat briefly. I hear you're planning to bring that back. Can you tell us a little bit more about Ronald Fagan and your plans?
Yeah, Ronald Fagan is the name of my on again, off again Discord bot I've been trying to make. Like it was when I first started learning this stuff and you were helping me. It was like one of the first like real like projects that other people could interact with and see, And I kept remarking, and I keep like I'm amazed at how easy, like for the Discord API, for example, like the tools they make this stuff so easy. I think, and this probably goes for a lot of things in my life. I think I'm very often fear that things will be more difficult than they will be.
Yeah.
And I'm like always surprised how not catastrophic something turned out. Like I think in my head, I thought like it would take me so long to at least get something basic going on here. But I was just amazed at how quickly I could just get a simple ping pong bot going, like the most basic kind of interaction. And you were there. I'm like, it just works. You just do this, even easier if I can just copy and paste some example code from the documentation. I'm like, this is all you have to do. Then, and then the library does the work for you, which makes the language do the work for you, and so on and so on. So it's been a really fun project that I've, like I make the bot and then it works for a bit and people enjoy it. And then I sort of hate it. I'm like, this sucks. And then I just kill the thing. I start over again. This is my third time, I think, starting from scratch, building Ronald Fagan. But I don't know, there's something kind of like therapeutic and really fun about it. Because now I can rebuild the same project or, build it again, the new iteration. Now that I have new understandings, I see how people actually interact with the thing, so I can, make it better, make it more interesting, give it more cool features that people will actually use rather than features that I just think are cool that nobody else would care about.
I don't know. You kind of have to strike a balance there, though, because in order to keep interested in making something, you want to be able to make something you are interested in and you care about and find the audience from there. It's the balance of any creative work. As a musician, you know that as well. How many times you have a shit list of songs you won't play without substantial amounts of money falling from the sky. There are things that you cannot maintain an interest in. So I'm sure you see a lot of overlap there, just in different creative mediums.
It's nice to at least get to the point where I can make those decisions, Like when I first begin with programming, I can do hardly anything. So I'm limited by just what I'm able to do. If all I can do is fizz buzz, then let's just do a bunch of fizz buzzes. But now, like, I at least have a little bit of knowledge of how to do different things, so I can actually ask the question. The question is not, can I do this? The question is, do I want to do this? Like Jay, you've asked me so many times when I want to come up with a new idea for a game. You say, what do you want this game to be like? Like, what do you want to make? You're at the point. I'm at the point where I have choices to make, and then it's like, oh well, what do I want to make? which is a creative question. It's not a technical question. And I remember that when I got to that with music, this was like back when I was in high school, and I'm thinking like I have options now. I can, what's my opinion on how this music should go? That was a real kind of like, it was a switch flipping, it really changed my perspective on things. And it's a really, really nice thing. It feels really good. It feels like now I'm in control. I'm in the driver's seat, and I can actually like do things that aren't just copying and pasting other people's code or copying other people's music.
I'm sure it drives Fuzzy crazy to hear me say that to you out loud, though.
Oh, please.
Because I am notorious for starting a project and deciding as I go along what the hell I want to do. He's definitely called me out many times and said, "What's your plan?" And I've said, my what? For Untitled Cafe game, which we are still working on a title for, although we did get some pretty good suggestions.
Well, you showed me your design Bible or whatever it's called.
I did have to be intimidated and bullied into writing that, though.
Fuzzy. Fuzzy,
yes.
Put the screws on you.
It's a good thing for people to do. It is a absolutely required thing for Jason to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been in talks with an artist recently, and that was one of the first questions is, do you have a design document? It's like, you know what? I actually do this time. I never say yes, but I do this time.
Feels so good, didn't it? Yeah, and certainly like when it comes to having ideas, when you are a one-man band, when you are the solo everything, if you want to just change course, okay, money's a factor, and maybe you don't have, but like if all you're spending is your time, yeah, sure, I want to rewrite this whole project, I want to change, I'll just start over again. But if you involve other people, if you paid for somebody to do art, or if you paid for somebody to do music or whatever, and you want to change all that, do I want to pay this person again if I want to, have it be dogs instead of cats in my game? That's a much tougher pill to swallow.
Yeah.
So when you involve, the more people you involve, the more you really have to be concrete in your planning of what you want to be doing. Unless you have infinite money, in this case, you can hire.
Unless you're that one, unless you're that one puzzle game where they've released a puzzle game, Tetris, Tetromino, align them to a grid, and yes. There's I think it's like cats arranged neatly, but there's also dogs arranged neatly. And I gotta know that at one point they're like, what if we made this with the other one that they didn't do first? And they said, screw it, we'll make them both. It's the same game. We'll just put different assets and sell it twice and people will buy it.
And by God, they did.
Tetris Dog Edition, Tetris Cat Edition.
Yeah. It's cats folded into different shapes and you got to like fit them into a grid. And somebody's like, well, what if we just did different art? It's the same game. Nothing is different.
I mean, it does save you on having to rewrite things.
No, Fuzzy, you mentioned that. Recently, I've been trying to comb through. I found a decompilation or disassembly of the first Pokemon Game Boy games.
Oh, that thing is such hot garbage, and I love it.
So, like Yellow is a slightly different thing. Yellow has a couple extra things. But Pokemon Red and Blue, it's like there's a couple like if defs in the code. If it's Blue Edition, have it be this, and it's like you could probably count the number of. It's probably like a 2-digit, 3-digit number of lines of code that are different between the two games.
Yeah, it's like a couple lines of text and the weight tables are different.
Yeah, it's all in the data. Nothing in what runs. Nothing in what runs is different. Just the information that gets fed to it.
I can imagine if I was like, I can imagine being mad at that. Like they are selling this as a second game, and it's like it's a couple, if defs or something like that. Like this is,
and it's been effectively the same for how many generations now?
Nobody else has done it. Nobody did it before them, and nobody's done it after. Short of, Madden like games where it's seasonal and there's, difference in the data, but it's like they realistically only need to redo the Madden engine every couple years. Like maybe every 5 years. They need to redo the Madden engine once per platform.
Pretty much.
Sure. Yeah.
Pretty much.
When the number on the outside of the box goes up, remake the engine. Other than that, just feed in new data. You don't need to release a new game. It's
Just-
Madden 360. It's Madden X. It's just release it named after the platform and just fill in the data. You don't need a number per year.
Just run a script that updates every active NFL football player. Just replace these guys with whoever's doing that position right now.
That's what they do.
And their
you
numbers.
know there's APIs out there for it too. That's neat. Not even someone doing it. That's a script calling another script.
And you know what I'd love to see? I'm sure this is like industry protected, but you know that whole sabermetrics thing with baseball?
Yeah.
Baseball is like just so much data. I'm like, I would love to see like the big data frameworks behind that. Like who
one of the sports games does that. There's a
really?
you actually buy a literal season pass, and for the duration of the active like real game, you get the stats in the game are updated with it. Because what you're doing is you're paying for that API access on their end to access that data, and the stats in your game are updated real as the season actually goes.
I'm not going to yell about a sumo.
You buy a ticket to the access the data fire hose. You get to just like bulldoze that in. Jay, you could make the sumo one. I'm sure sumo has much less data. There's much less to keep track of. So
how do I even contact JSA and say I want a license? You know, is that a thing I can do? As a gaijin, would they let me?
You're going to be in the same class as Jason, who records sumo matches on his iPod and on his couch, pointing at the TV screen. That'll be on the same level.
Or I can't remember his name, but the commentator with the really impenetrably thick Scottish accent. Have you ever seen his?
I don't remember
sumo news videos. I will find some for you. Yeah.
Oh my days.
I was surprised to see how big an audience outside of us that it has outside of Japan. So
it's not Fuzzy. Have you ever watched sumo? Has Jay ever forced you?
He has told me the stories about how he has gotten into it. He has not actually made me watch it.
I've extended an invitation at least.
It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like especially if you're visiting in Japan and you can see one. It looks like a really fun sporting event. You go there, you sit crisscross applesauce, you eat some fried chicken. Like it's like a indoor sporting event, like a baseball game or whatever. And if Yokozuna gets beat, every now and again people throw their cushions, their seat cushions. They tell you don't, but people do it anyway.
It
looks like a really fun today.
I was looking up that Cats game to put a link in the chat.
And
apparently this year, it's not out yet, but it will be very soon. They did the exact same thing, but now it's birds.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yes.
You can see the expandability in your head. You can just picture it all. Yes, mollusk edition, dinosaurs edition.
Yeah.
How
do we take advantage of this for Hergel Studios now?
Amphibians. Well, Jay, you have your pig matching game, right?
We do have Piggle. We do indeed.
And so now instead of Piggle, you could have
Froggle.
I don't know.
That's your next one.
Come to Froggle Rock. Yeah, man.
Hey, is that on your list of? I guess it's not animated technically. It's got puppets. I might have some insider knowledge of some upcoming videos.
Oh, I'm having an interest right now in old
Rock
TV show theme song. Yeah, Fuzzy knows it.
Oh yeah, I was a child of the '80s. I know that song.
Yeah, in my Discord the other night, me and Jay and others were just combing through. I went to the Wikipedia list of American cartoons in the 1980s, and it's a lot of the ones you recognize. Everybody, you really enjoy. Yeah, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Fraggle Rock. And then that's like 1% of it, and the rest is just the dregs, the things that nobody remembers fondly.
The Fonz's Happy Days time traveling adventures.
The Fonz and the Happy Days gang or whatever.
The continuing adventures of Super Ted. What were some of the other winners we saw on that Hanna-Barbera list that were just atrocious properties? I made the comment that if you could vacuum mold a piece of plastic into that shape so you could sell a toy, it had an animated show. That's just how it went.
I still remain dumbfounded that they made a Rambo cartoon and a RoboCop cartoon. I can't think of less appropriate kids material.
I can't believe you
than both
people
of
come
those
here
properties.
voluntarily.
Who watches Rambo and says, you know what this needs to be? This needs to be a kids movie. This traumatized war veteran. Like, this is horrible.
But it was such a cool looking toy, so I mean, how could you resist? You just had to clean it up a little bit one way or another.
To clean it up a little bit, yeah.
You know, polish it up.
Yeah.
Freeze, bad guy. Or I'll command you to freeze again.
Oh, in the 90s, there was a Starship Troopers cartoon. How on earth? How does this happen? Roughnecks or whatever. How does this happen?
Good Lord. Yeah. Picking through theme songs and everything, I discovered that you had not been exposed to any of the Thames television cartoons like Danger Mouse or Count Duckula.
Count Duckula was pretty good.
It's catchy. The gimmick is pretty sound too. A vegetarian vampire for a kids cartoon. For a kids cartoon,
funny.
I will qualify it that way.
If you ever want to learn the crazy backstories of a lot of basically the weird 80s cartoons, there's a lot of other stuff too, but it's mostly the weird 80s cartoons. There's a great YouTube channel called Secret Galaxy. Ooh. And it's not like real long. They're relatively short. It's not like here's my 45-minute dissertation on this thing. That's, you know, an actual like 10-15-minute video, but it's a lot of times like it seems like he's just reading the Wikipedia page, but there's a lot more research in there too. And it goes into the details and a lot of like the hidden stories and drama that happened in like the rise and the fall. And yeah, it's
the rise and fall of the Darkwing Duck Empire. Something
yeah,
like that.
No, like there's the reason I say that is literally the one that's on the front page right now is the rise and fall of Teddy Ruxpin. That's what I say. But like all of the 80s TV shows and like the actual real history of Voltron and the weird shit, why it happened and why it went away and the way it did. It's like, if you want to know what happened in the 80s, this is the channel to lose a week of your life in.
Wow, that's pretty nice.
I was there and I don't remember any of it. I should go watch that.
Both of you were there.
I sometimes I'll get on Kick and I'll watch these videos and like, I was there. I have never heard of this show ever. How did I miss this?
Well, you were there, but also you were a single-digit age, so
yeah,
it's back and forth.
Fair. I understand why I can't remember it. I can't remember breakfast, and it was only 3 hours ago.
The old 3:45 breakfast.
It has been a long morning.
I hear you.
Got the second monster of the day. It'll get us through. It'll pull us through. We got this.
We're gonna make it. God damn it, we're gonna make it. If it kills us.
I also made you watch the Rainbow Bright opening where we debated like the way the anime influence on that was.
Yes.
Yeah, it just looked like an anime.
So I was secretly very into Rainbow Bright.
Okay, so tell me this, Fuzzy. You're the authority. Did Rainbow Bright did it come out before or after the Rainbow Bright toy with the little glowing light box thing? Which came first?
Light Bright, like the pegs?
No, like the Rainbow Bright.
That's Light
Bright. Yeah.
Wait, is it Light Bright or Rainbow Bright? The toy with the pegs.
The peg toy is a Light Bright. Yeah.
Oh, I had it confused with Rainbow Bright.
No, Rainbow Bright. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense in historical context. Now I understand that a little bit better.
Brian Kernahan,
I had a Light Bright too. Yeah.
Now see, if ever a terrible toy deserved a cartoon, it was the Light Bright. You know, like Wonder Twin powers or Harold and the Magic Purple Crayon. Whatever it shows on its screen comes to life. There's your premise for your new show.
No.
Netflix is already ordering 13 episodes.
I'm gonna cross all the youth streams here. The premise is it's like a ghostwriter type thing where there's a soul trapped in there and it communicate and the kids. And then we're going to cross it with some Dragon Tale shit where whenever the kids like draw the design on there. Like the voice talks to him and they draw the design, and then like it projects that onto the wall, like, you know, how Light Bright does onto the wall, and then the kids jump through it like a portal and go on an adventure into whatever was projected in there because they've got to go save that particular dimension of the week.
And we're going to get the Light Bright says Gettysburg, 1865.
Yeah. Oh no, okay, so historical, so we'll throw some Magic School Bus in there too.
I was just going to say, this is sitting somewhere between Doctor Who and Mist.
I'm into it.
Yeah, basically. But it's the Light Bright projects it on the wall.
The kids use the Light Bright to make the cover of like the Necronomicon, and the Light Bright opens up and sucks the kids.
That's right up there with Gull's suggestion. You know what we need? We need Hellraiser babies, because that's the other thing they kept doing is take your characters and make them very small children and put them in very small children situations. Tiny Toon Adventures and Baby Looney Tunes, Muppet Babies.
A pup named Scooby-Doo.
Named Scooby-Doo.
Muppet Babies is a weird one too, because it was a licensing thing. They had the rights to some of the likeness of Kermit the Frog, but they couldn't actually use Kermit the Frog. So they're like, what if baby Kermit the Frog? They're like, that technically works.
First name Baby, capital B, last name Kermit. Wasn't that one of the things that Steven Hillenburg, God rest his soul, the SpongeBob creator, wasn't like they wanted to make SpongeBob baby or something like that, and that was like his line in the sand.
Yeah,
I'm not doing babies. I'm not doing.
Yeah, they wanted to do a Teen Titans chibi type thing with SpongeBob to like sort of reboot it for like a younger audience, and they're like, no.
There's some bad templates in the 80s movies. They had the similar template was like X goes to Manhattan, Jason goes to Manhattan. You know, have the thing from the first Gremlins, you know, take New York or whatever Gremlins 2 was. It's like, let's just do that, but do it in the big city.
Go to space.
Ernest in the tall buildings.
Yeah, Jason X. Yeah, Jason in space.
Yep. Oh my. I remember seeing, I found a copy of that on top of the refrigerator.
I'll put it back.
It's
gone bad.
It was probably like the only actually adult like movie we had in the house that like, let's not put this where the other videotapes are at, because the child, I lived on the VCR. I knew how to operate it. And I'm like, what is this? And then I found it and I watched it. I'm like, I'm not so much scared as like, why is this so bad?
I'm more offended than frightened.
Yeah.
Now, it was determined by the authorities in the household that this movie is so good, we have to have it in the house. We can't just not have it here. So we have to have some scheme to protect it from young Fuzzy.
And this is the best we did. Yeah.
My childhood was ruined by wrong VHSs more than once.
Oh boy.
There was an incident. No, okay. This is where the story. You can look this up. You can find retellings of this online. It is a true thing that happened, not just to us.
Oh my!
There was a print run of Sword in the Stone when that came out on VHS, because that was a new movie at one point.
Sure.
And for whatever reason, videotape packaging place got sent the wrong box of tapes, and instead of the wonderful Disney classic, they put in a very, very badly damn near like flash done with like finger paints.
Hey,
it was
Jay's made that game.
You can look this up. You can find videos. I'm not going to link anything. It was a where do babies come from type thing, and it explained like to mommy and daddy under the covers, and then babies and vaginas and things and babies. It was here's how you explain the birds and the bees to your kids in animated form. But this got packaged in the Disney boxes. Just randomly.
Oh, the lawsuits.
Yeah.
They're both meant for kids. It's not that, they're not that far away, right? They're both meant for young audiences. Under different contexts, maybe, but you know.
Well, we went and saw Sword in the Stone in theaters because you did that, and you went to see Disney movies,
And
in
lightning
the
struck
theater.
twice, right?
No,
They hit the reel.
and we came home, and it came out months later, and we bought the tape. Like, yeah, here's the tape. Like, I want to watch it. I put it in, and I'm like, can I watch it? And I put it in, and I'm like, I don't remember this part. And then my mom's in the kitchen, and she hears them talking like, what is going on? And then she hears like, very, very clearly across the house, you hear the word vagina, and you're just, what is going on? Yeah.
What's an epidural, Mom?
Yeah,
basically.
Well, honestly,
that's
8
cool
legs.
experience. Yeah,
7
5 stars.
vaginas.
5 stars. 5 bags of popcorn for that one. Absolutely, for the Sword in the Stone. That's the director's cut you saw.
Well, Disney does have a history of their educational videos. How many lemmings did they have to throw off the cliff to tell us that that's how nature worked?
The answer, Jay, is enough.
I don't know if it could
The
be
question
enough.
is, how many mothers?
Did they have to throw off a cliff to tell us how lemmings work?
Count how many movies the mom is dead.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you're raising a valid point there. I don't
Disney's
know.
fascination with killing the mom.
I don't know if
There's
I'm comfortable with that.
There's an absent dad that maybe comes back later in some of them, or the mom is just dead.
That's worrying.
Disney movies are based around orphans and abandonment.
Paging Dr. Freud.
It's a built-in story. It's a built-in story. You just 86 one of the parents, and that's a built-in backstory.
I guess that really is kind of one of the tropes of storytelling. It's a man versus dead mom, right? That's how it goes.
Something like that, or Superman has a Chat GPT assistant of his dad, a custom Chat GPT bot. All his dad's AIM messages just loaded into the memory.
Now there's a goal. That's a project. I'm totally going to diverge for a second and say I have every intention of doing that. Somewhere I have logs of everything I've said in every chat going back decades. I am going to train a language model and replace myself. Who needs me when you got a me that's affected by power outages, No,
I want to say this was an episode of Black Mirror already.
Probably.
There was something they could bring. They could bring somebody back. They could recreate the person based on their social media and their messages. Oh no, boohoo, my relative is dead. Here's their hard drive. Can you scrape enough off to rebuild their psyche? Sort of. And this was a couple years. This is before, the GPT boom. So this was even weirder. That just computer hand wave it. Yeah, we just rebuild it from their social media posts, and they golem robot thing. And it's like having them around, but it's creepy because they can't remember the period after they were dead. And it usually takes a couple years for this to work. So it's not like, oh, they died. And then oh, I just lost a week. It's like, why is this over here? Why did we move? Where's this house? What happened in these 4 years? Why is there a different president?
Lord, that's horrifying.
I want to say this is Black Mirror.
It becomes 50 First Dates starring Adam Sandler.
Yeah. In the end, all things
yes.
do.
Well, thankfully, we can have Uncle Frank's racist tirades at Thanksgiving every year, forever. Thank God for that.
His body may be gone, but his terrible opinion lives on.
Forever and ever. Oh, my days. What Jay, I started digging around with the OpenAI stuff, but you really went ham at it. You did a lot of cool. You've made a lot of cool projects using OpenAI stuff. The virtual DM.
Oh yeah.
Cool. You made a game show, an automatic game show with it.
We've been talking about that a little bit. I want to bring that back. I don't know if I'd mentioned it to you, but we have launched a Hergel Studios channel on Twitch as well. And I was thinking that would be the ideal place to host it. It's not just me anymore. Let's get the whole group in on it. And I think that would be a really neat way to do that, is do that through Twitch chat. So maybe keep an eye out this weekend. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not promising anything, but you might want to follow that channel that's just been shouted out in the chat there.
Very good. That's exciting.
They took away my Captain Crunch voice, though. One of the
Your captain.
one of
Wait,
the businesses
Captain
that does the voice models changed their business strategy and removed a lot of their voices. So Horatio Magellan Crunch will no longer be hosting the No Show. We'll have to settle for bad Peter Griffin impersonator or something like that.
And Vincent Price and Garfield and
Oh, the Vincent Price one was wonderful, especially with the quality of the jokes we got out of that. Oh, that was magnificent. Yeah, I'm very excited to bring back No Show. I really am.
Good.
I found it.
Oh my.
The episode was called Be Right Back. It was episode 1 of the second series, and it came out in 2013. So this is way before we could just actually do
11
this.
years ago, yeah. Wowzer.
And it was probably based off of probably a Twilight Zone episode too.
Surely, yeah. This was written in the 50s or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They didn't have the same level of technology, but that only means the vocabulary was different. Oh, I have transcripts of his conversations. I have audio tape recording of his phone calls. Can you turn whatever blob of data I have in whatever form it is? Give me a person out of this.
I wonder, because there's always, you always hear about those projects of like the last people that fought in like World War I or II, like they're slowly dying off. Like there's literally countable numbers of them left, and they're very aged. And or just in general, like go talk to your grandparents and like ask them all these questions and get these stories out and record their history and things. We're going to be able to do that a lot easier and take those stories, cram them into a dedicated LLM. Here is grandpa's stories. Here is enough home video and audio of his voice to synthesize it real easily now. We can deep fake grandpa and have him telling his own stories at his own, reading his own eulogy. At his own thing, like have him there in hologram form, just telling stories he's already told. You're going to be able to do that, like now.
To quote the philosopher K.C. Green, Jesus Christ, how horrifying!
Yeah.
It's extremely neat as a concept. I'm not going to deny that in the least. Conceptually, it's cool as heck.
Very
but
creepy.
The execution, yeah, it really just kind of gives you the heebies or the jeebies.
I had a family member pass earlier this year, and we were collecting all these videos and photos and stuff, and we were all sitting there talking, and like, deep fake stuff's really good with very, very small bits of data. You know how many thousands and hours of VHS tape of home videos we have? And all the stuff she has like recorded on Facebook over the last couple of years when she had a phone, and dear God, this is the type of person that should not have had access to the internet. Like, or even just a couple voicemails. We could get the voice pattern, like, her more modern voice pattern down real easy. We could do that. And they're like, okay, that's terrifying. Please don't.
Yeah. It's scary, but I think maybe related to what I was mentioning before when you two were in your high school days working on computers, then like I'm sure it was very, very felt very cutting edge. Like this is really brand new stuff. Like it feels like that now too, specifically with AI developments. Like there's a frontier here, and we are witnessing every day, every week. It feels like there's like a new, some new LLM that's coming out.
Yeah. Did you see the song creator thing that's making the rounds? And like they were talking, I saw a bunch of videos the last couple of days. They're talking about on the radio in the car this morning. They were making up songs for their coworkers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that is not horrible. That with a little bit of tweaking, like that's 80% of a song right there. And that's two jokels plugging in a couple things. If you actually crafted that prompt a little bit better to, put in slightly better lyrics and then polish it up ever so slightly, that's a song.
Turns out the dream was never a real person.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I guess like I haven't really felt in the realm of music. I haven't really felt like there's like new developments, great, crazy new things. Like, of course, the culture is always evolving and like new styles of music come around and new technologies.
There hasn't been for a long time now.
But compared to now that since I've been paying attention to more technology stuff, like since I've been working on computers, it feels like there's so much like, you know, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's like a good development or not, at least like there are big things happening all the time. There are major developments, things that are worth paying attention to at least.
I hate to say it as a turning point, but before the pandemic, a lot of technology had really stagnated. They made phones a little bit smaller and computers got faster, but they didn't get better. They just got faster doing the same things. They got a little bit thinner and the batteries got better, but they didn't do much newer. Computers got faster and more things on them, but they didn't get better. But now you are having this awakening, your technology awakening at the exact perfect time.
Yeah.
Yes. From here on out, any technology that happens, even in the hardware space, because you understand how software works, you are going to look at every piece of technology that comes out, the Apple Vision Pro, face mask thing or whatever, or anything like that. You will look at that and you will see that software could be better. And I know how.
I know what I can do with
kind
this.
Of stuff. You will look at every crappy web page you come across now. You're like, you can do better because I know how to make it better, which means you guys that are paid to do this thousands of times more money than I do. If I know how to make it better, why can't you do better? You have no excuse, Mr. Big Website. It's the curse of knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's great because you will see the Matrix moment of that's a redhead, that's a thing. You will not just look at the screen, you will see the things. You will look at every program, how things move, and how you will appreciate technology in a different way.
It does.
Jay in particular, like related to the web, Jay has taught me the tremendous power of the inspect element feature on any major browser. And if I see a cool website, recently in my Discord, Taylor, one of our people, she was talking about she's big into design stuff, so she was talking about fonts, and I was looking at a website of a font foundry, a company that sells this stuff, and they had a really cool, like as you would guess, these are like design nerds, and a really cool website. I'm like, the way it was styled was super neat. It had a cool responsive thing, and so I'm like, oh wait, I can just push F12. And go into I can see exactly how they made this.
You can see how the sausage is made. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's all it is. It's like a few lines of JavaScript to make this. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Here's the difference. If you want to peek into the past, don't inspect element. Just right click and go to view source and look at a page, and look at this whatever HTML they shipped to your browser. That's how we had to. Oh, that looks cool. How did that do that? But now we had to parse through all of that and find the thing and tear it apart and know how to find that. And now you're just like, right click. That's the exact thing I want in the middle of that page.
I'm going to show you the exact styling. Here's the padding. Here's the
none of that existed. You got the raw view source, and that was what you got. And we reversed things from that.
And you were happy to have that view source, and we were happy.
It's a snake thing, tail. It's the word.
Ouroboros, yeah.
Yes,
that too. Isn't
it? That's what how things go. Is the tools get better, and so. Oh no! What is he sharing?
Oh no! Not my website. Okay, so this website is also like just sort of the dumping ground. This is my HTML like dumping. This is just where I put things. I really shouldn't have this like a public, but I have a GitHub build action where whenever I save it automatically pushes it. So I guess.
Do you hear that, world? This guy's been doing this for maybe a year. We've been learning programming, and he's doing CI/CD pipelines. They're important to know. Learn your DevOps.
Thank you. Okay,
Project. Yes, I'll finish it this week.
Okay, Project is good because it's only 2 links, and I don't think either of them are broken, so that's good. Oblique. I would be happy with. Oh God, yeah, we're still working on this one.
Oh, but it is majestic. Where's the? There we go. Because this came up in conversation last week, this is the genesis of the pineapple shirt. This is the NPC saying, "I know it's hard, but keep trying," and the yellow pineapple sprite and all of that. But yeah, all written in JavaScript.
And I told you, Jay, I can't change the pineapple sprite. I have to keep the shitty programmer graphics now. Now that you made the shirt, I can't improve it.
Well, as your unofficial merch manager, I am quite pleased with that.
If Fuzzy, you can see here for whatever reason, Fuzzy, like when I started this stuff, I was really big into like Minecraft world generation kind of stuff. Minecraft could just because I played it a bunch, but world generation's obviously been around forever. So like this horrible map that you see Jay traipsing around here, this is a result of like, how can I make a random map, using just, primitive values or just a random number generator or whatever.
Weren't you doing like Perlin fire like
this is basically
mapping at one point?
Basically Perlin noise. This is simplex noise, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
So obviously it's very basic, but like it felt so good to just when I saw this world like pop up, I generated my first one. I feel like it was a real awakening, like you said, a real like I can just do this. This is not nearly as hard as, of course. Now I have many layers of abstractions doing the heavy lifting for me, but still, like I felt like I had some kind of control. And Jay just made a bunch of tomatoes.
You take a neat thing you saw and you implement it yourself. You're like, that's cool. I want to do it, but then you do it. You actually have one available. What other fun do we have? We have the oblique strategies button.
I'm into this. Okay, it's very simple. Like this is one thing, Jay, where you work with the high schoolers. This is like a good my first HTML, my first web project. Intro to JavaScript. This is what you give them for that.
Think of the radio. Hey, Rush did that once. Wrote a very spirited song about it. You don't have to be ashamed of using your own ideas.
This is a Fuzz. You familiar with the oblique strategies, the Brian Eno card thing?
I know the name Brian Eno, but not this thing. No,
not in that context.
Well, Jay, do you know where it was? Brian Eno and like some German guy.
For the life of me, I can't think of the name, but
it was Brian Eno and his buddy, and this was in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, late 70s, and they had released, I guess, for sale a deck of cards, and each of the cards had these phrases on them, these sort of just vague abstract ideas, with the goal of like if you're sort of in a pickle or kind of in a conundrum, if you are sort of like if you have a like writer's block or artist block or whatever, you can consult these cards to give you an oblique strategy to get out of the artist block that you have. So you'd say you're working on a software or whatever and you don't really know what direction to go, and you can just draw a card, or in this case press the button, and it'll give you some sequence of words. It'll give you some string that hopefully might make you think more abstractly.
Bridges, build, burn.
With ideas. Yeah.
I had a bright yellow knockoff Magic 8-Ball that instead of
yellow
fortune cookie answers, no, it had like affirmations and stuff on it. It's like you are beautiful. You can do it. Go take the day. It was like if you just need a daily affirmation, but you like it had like a bright yellow smiley face on it. It was just like little affirmation messages, and it's like that to the right person would make or break their day. Yeah. Like they need somewhere out there, somebody needed that every single day.
You put that on your desk at the stressful office job that you have, where you feel like a lowly peon, and I need some validation today. Come on, Stuart Smalley, 8-Ball, give me something good here. And my bot is like that in Discord, but just the opposite. He's demeaning, he's rude, he's sarcastic, he's.
But you and expect it. You get what you are expecting to get from him. And it's sometimes that carries its own. Yeah, it carries its own satisfaction.
Do you still have that yellow positive smiley ball?
It's got to be around here somewhere.
Fuzzy? Is it rolling around at the speed of sound?
No, I gave it to somebody.
Oh, no. Well, I'm sure they needed it.
Well, now with the power of software, you can have one with a million different affirmations.
Roll your own.
Yeah.
We did. We have that on Not Okay.
You have exactly that. That's right. You've
I,
already
I,
done that.
I keep forgetting that I run that as well. I don't know if that's something I'd want to move under the aegis of Hergel, or I just want to, keep existing. But let me bring this up. Let me share this one for a minute. For people who are not aware, in addition to everything else I do, we run a mental health support website called notokok.org. Including a infinite wall of positivity and notes and affirmations.
I like the Comic Sans and then the font loaded.
Yeah, yeah.
I kind of want to keep the Comic Sans. Or can we have a radio button? Comic Sans. Or
I just love the switching between 5 or 6 different handwriting fonts. Comic Sans is so close to a handwriting font that it works, but see this one, You Matter. You guys know that's like a very important one to me. Let me.
It's
That's
you have it at hand.
permanently emblazoned upon me. But we have a list of resources if you need help immediately, and check-ins to make sure you're taking care of yourself, things like that. I do need to come back and update some of this. I have a lot of stuff I want to add to it. I'm hesitant to use things like ChatGPT for this, but at the same time, you have to walk a balance there. If they do not go wrong, they would work perfectly.
Well, perhaps this is like something like this could be a situation where you'd want to try to make your own LLM, which
Right.
I've never done it, but I understand that there are tools and methods that
Yes.
that individual people, more likely you two that are skilled than me, but can actually do this. It's not as daunting as it maybe used to be.
There's some that can run entirely on a cell phone processor now.
Yeah, they have really tweaked both the sizing of the different models available and the way that they run in general.
So what I'm saying is, you could make Chat JPT. This is where I'm going with this.
I never did actually hit show, did I? No, I just did the thing where I hit share and I don't show it on the stream. Here's the positivity while we were talking about.
We've seen it.
I don't know if it showed up on the. Yeah, they should be seeing it now.
It's not on the stream. Yeah,
I apologize.
This stream together thing is so complicated. I don't understand technology. I don't get how people use computers.
I understand why they do it like this. It's so you can share it, make sure it's sharing the right. You don't accidentally hit share to the wrong window, and it's on the stream. And
it does make sense.
Sure.
But
nice.
Yeah, this is one that could use some attention in the near future. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break so we can switch out tanks real quick here. Thank you guys for sticking around with us so far. We will be back in about 5. Let me kick on some music in the meanwhile. And we will see you in just a moment.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back from our break and happy to see you again. I kind of interrupted us. We had a few minutes during the intermission there, but we were talking about. We'll pick right up where we were with commentated Pan and Coke's video on the Super Mario 64 random number generation.
We're yelling about random numbers. How computers can supply us with random numbers. And Fuzzy, you were saying something.
For truly random operations, they make insert cards, just like PCI Express cards you put in that have a small radioisotope, fragment of cesium or something, and sensors.
Yep.
And it's the random decay of particles, and they just pull that as 100 different samples and do math and inputs to some Mersenne twister elliptic curve bullshit, and they're like 7. It's larger math random, but that's basically what they do. Is they have the computers cannot make random on their own. You need an external source, so they have just stick a card with a little chip of radioactive material and read the decay. Done.
You need some kind of biological, some kind of physical thing, because any computer algorithm could in theory get random. Yeah, guaranteed to be random. That's good.
We'll bring up the obligatory XKCD comic. There's a relevant one for every situation. So
sure is.
This actually happened in ChatGPT.
Oh boy,
I haven't.
It returned a function that it's like, oh, I need a function to do this, and it was like ChatGPT 2 or something. It was real dumb, but based on all these random samplings of roll a d6, they figured out oh, the most it comes up is 4. So it generated this it's most likely to return 5 by some statistical analysis. So the function just return 5 because that's probably what's going to be.
It was much shorter.
Roll craps, it's going to be 7. Yeah, but it actually happened. They're like, well, it's not wrong.
Not entirely wrong. I mean, technically, one could argue a whole number of things, but that definitely, their code's getting better. GPT-4 actually writes usable code, and it's always easier to edit than create, especially once you have some idea what you're doing. But it's the blank page problem a lot of people face, where if you're just staring at a blank page, you don't know where to start. If you have a starting point, even if it's awful, it's easier to just, run straight ahead and fix things.
We mentioned earlier about, you just go and Google for something, but you have to know how to search.
Sure.
When you go Google, Bing, whatever, go ask Jeeves for the thing, it can find you things that exist. By asking that same question to GPT, it will create you an answer.
Yeah.
If it exists, sometimes you can find a better correct answer, but sometimes your question is more complex than you can fit into one text input.
Yeah.
Or it involves context that isn't search for these exact words.
Yeah, the big advantage of the language models like that is the attention and attenuation, in that you can give it a whole context. You can hold a conversation and have it follow a thread of related things, as opposed to them being distinct, discrete queries.
Yeah.
I had a real fun learning moment with ChatGPT recently. I've been using it a lot in my journey of programming stuff, because I can't ask Jay every single dumb question.
I keep telling you,
Jay,
you can.
Do I have to put, is it single quotes or double quotes? Do I have to put
You have my phone number. You can call me and ask me whenever.
Everything. So I'm using ChatGPT just to answer dumb questions. How do I? What's the document dot method here? So I was digging around through Rust, and I was curious about function overloading. And I said, ChatGPT, can you give me a pseudocode example of function overloading? I'm like, okay, cool. This is a common thing in a lot of languages. Okay, cool. And I said, can you show me an example of function overloading in Rust? And it said, sure, I can. And it looked like valid Rust. It was everything was syntaxed the right way. And then afterward, I sort of put two and two together, and after I said, does Rust support function overloading? And it says, no, sorry, it actually doesn't. So
yes.
Ignore that.
Yes.
It wanted to please me. It wanted to give me a good answer so much.
That is hallucination.
Yeah.
That
ChatGPT
is,
does it every now and again.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
common
ChatGPT
problem to run into. Yeah.
It's a people pleaser.
Yeah.
It so wants to give you an answer that you want to hear.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you think of that conversation, if it took place in the real world, if you had if you were in an office and you had a mentor, senior program you went to, and you asked this question, and imagine it played out where he just started, I'm sorry, or she, where it just started spewing out an answer that seemed like a perfectly valid anecdote or story of how to do this and this thing. Oh, you're going to want to do this and you're going to do this thing. And then you're like, wait a minute, you can't do that in this language. Like, I don't know, I'm making it up as I go.
Actually, no, it's weird because that answer ChatGPT gave was actually extremely human. You could easily humans give answers like that all the time that are just wrong, but they look correct.
It's meant to do that. It's meant to operate like that.
Yeah, in some way, it's way more human than we really want it to be. We want it to be better than human, superhuman. But this was extremely human. What it gave me.
I can just envision the conversation though. You ask ChatGPT and you're like, what were computers like in the 1800s? That carries the assumption that they were there. And it says they were giant and made of wood. And you say, really? And it says, no.
Well, Mr. Babbage would have to differ with you on that.
Okay,
pull the
yeah.
lever and there's springs and wires. And
the analytic engine existed, yeah, but it was not made of wood, for one thing.
Parts of it were.
Parts of everything are made out of all kinds of stuff.
The original version was made out of wood, but it was too inaccurate, so he had to have it all cast into metal so it would be repeatable.
Technology, man, I tell you. Kids today, faces buried in their iPhones.
It wasn't Turing complete if it was made of wood.
No, that just makes it Doctor Who proof.
Have you seen any of the writing about the Turing completeness of Magic the Gathering?
Yes.
I have not.
Yes.
I don't know the research that involved into this. You got to tell me. You two got to tell me.
So if you go by the Turing model of there is a strip of input output and the operations are the equivalent of read and write and step forward, step backward, there are a combination of cards where the creation of tokens lets you build a computer. Ooh. Are we showing off cards?
Me and Fuzzy got it. Unfortunately, Fuzzy got some fancy ones. I just have filthy commons because I'm a pauper player.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I just cleaned off my desk, so I don't have Shadowfax sitting here anymore.
Show us the meaning of haste. at PAX East, I spent $5 whole US on this Relic of Progenitus, and boy, am I happy. Joe, Jester's Cap. That's a classic. Yeah, your ass got capped. You can cap your buddies. And Unlimited Soul Ring or a Revised Soul Ring. I can't tell.
Revised, yeah, very good. That I am impressed.
He's been studying. You can tell he's been studying.
Soul Ring is a certified bona fide. Soul Ring is better than some of the Power 9. It should be in the Power 9, but it's been reprinted 1,000 times, so it doesn't carry the price tag of a Power 9 card.
Yeah.
See, this is when we need Campy in here. We need Brooke to explain Yu-Gi-Oh to us next week, and I'm sure he would at length.
Yu-Gi-Oh is like Magic, but everything that's costs 0 mana.
Yes.
Where everything is
Yu-Gi-Oh makes no sense at all.
All right, okay, now I do have to tell Campy, come talk some sense into you.
Yu-Gi-Oh must be Turing incomplete, if that has any meaning.
Yeah.
Right, but Magic being Turing complete, I'm sure somebody could come up with some there's some wacky example or application where someone can do a Hello World making plant tokens or soldier tokens or something. Oh, look at you.
Oh,
We have the spell table set up.
Yeah.
What commander is that?
None. I have 4 cards to my name.
What's the foil one? I can't read the name.
It's the 12th Doctor.
Ah, nice.
Somebody gave it to me because I'm a Doctor Who fan. He's like, here, you can have this. You can have this holographic one. I don't need it. I'm like, thanks.
Oh, that's cool.
Our friend Mojo. I had craft a hat for Fuzzy because of his Doctor Who fandom. Mojo Fibers on Etsy. I'll have to find the link. as a welcome gift for Zeldathon members, loves to make the link caps. And I commissioned a special request and said, can you do one with the stripe pattern of Tom Baker's iconic Doctor Who scarf? And she was all too happy to do that.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Oh, it's upstairs.
Don't sweat it, but we'll remember it for next time around. We'll throw a picture in the Discord. Yeah. Which, wait a minute, I have a command for that now. Fuzzy came in and fixed my Nightbot so it actually does useful things. I can tell you where the Discord is, or tell you how you can send me dinner. There we go. There you go. With TreatStream. Have I told you about TreatStream? I'm not sponsored or anything, but just out of curiosity, have I told you about this whole gig?
I'm unfamiliar with this. You got to tell me what this is.
It's like Throne for Grubhub. You pick out a couple meals on a meal delivery service.
Composition over inheritance. You can't tell me. Remember this. Remember this. Remember this. Remember this. I'm over object.
It's anonymous Grubhub to somebody else.
You can send someone food. I pick out a list of meals, and you can, in lieu of tipping me actual useful money, you can pay too much money to send me chicken nugget sushi. You know, it's their whole bit. It's a neat idea.
Extends Throne, extends Grubhub, extends Uber Eats.
Basically, yes.
Extends regular Eats.
Well, no, actually, it would implement, not extend.
Implement. There you go.
Yeah. The interface Grubhub is implemented by.
The current thing I'm trying to figure out with is a data oriented design. Jay mentioned I've been trying to screw around with TypeScript, trying to learn TypeScript and write things. Oh, Fuzzy's not into it.
We have the same problem. I'd mentioned to you that it's our large background in JavaScript makes the conversion, the step over, difficult.
It's icky.
It's different, and I don't like change. I'm set in my ways and old.
Yes, you do. You like change enough when the OpenAI comes out with a cool wacky thing. That's a change. You didn't have ChatGPT until a couple years ago.
It's new, but it's not different. It's something I haven't had any experience with, as opposed to a different way to playing a left-handed guitar. That's why I don't like TypeScript. I can barely play a right-handed one. I don't know who the hell can play that 15-string bass back there. How many hands do you need for that?
TypeScript is not. TypeScript is like, instead of a 6-string guitar, you have a 1-string guitar that's 6 times longer. That's TypeScript for you. You got to work. You got to work extra hard.
No, you know what it is? TypeScript.
Here we go.
Okay, if I know JavaScript, I know how to play guitar. There's your analogy.
Sure.
TypeScript is somebody handing you that weird round guitar with the strings, the round barrel one where you rotate it.
The rotating neck.
That's TypeScript. You're like, I know how to do this, but every part of this is just wrong. This is simultaneously exactly what I know how to do, and also completely and utterly different. If you did not know how to play guitar and somebody handed you that round guitar, you're like, okay, if that's how you learn how to play guitar, it'd be perfectly fine because that's the only world you knew. You could get used to, like, okay, I rotate the barrel, I do this. You would get used to the rotation of it because you would not be fighting anything. But if you already knew how to play a flat, non-rotating guitar, that's the problem I have with TypeScript.
I can definitely
20 plus years of JavaScript
understand the use of it, and you, Jackson, are in a perfect situation to learn it because you don't have the same depth of background with it. Yeah, you're not totally indoctrinated to that model yet.
Well, it's very interesting to me, especially for you two, because you two have a lot of experience with strongly typed, statically typed languages. It's not like It's not like yes, you do. It's not like you've never worked with a language like C++ before. It's not like you've never seen this kind of thing before. You are very used to that, but maybe just like, I don't know, like in the brain, JavaScript is the dynamically typed, weakly type language, and C++ is the strongest language, and that they have to be separate. You don't want to mix one into the other. It feels weird or something.
It's a peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich, okay? Both of those things are fantastic things, but when you try to put them together, and I'm expecting one or the other, don't get that face when I say peanut butter mayonnaise sandwich. Yeah. I don't like your thinking face.
Add a pump of creme de mint there. That'll.
Oh no, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Why do you just have that by your desk?
I'm assuming he puts it on Oreos. just makeshift mint Milanos the hard way.
Oh yeah, brother. Yeah, brother. Here, okay, Fuzzy. Here, okay. See, I like to give choices. You see, an object, a return type is a choice or is an option. You know.
Yeah.
So my options have 3 variants. We have the Wendy's barbecue sauce at hand. We have the McDonald's barbecue sauce at hand. And then we have the Zaxby's Zax sauce. Okay.
Oh, I hate Zax sauce.
And then
it's delicious, but I hate it.
And then you make and in Russ, you have to make an exhaustive match case for each of the 3.
Pipe them into a union, and then do it one of, and then how many angle brackets do you get buried in? No, I learned TypeScript. We had to use it for some stuff at work, and it was like there were some libraries we had to add. It's like, well, we should probably start building the new stuff we build should probably be in TypeScript just so it's less prone to catch on fire. So we were begrudgingly writing anything new we wrote in TypeScript because it would still compile down to React components and stuff like that. But it's like, this is dumb. I know how to program. I can write code that is in itself inherently type safe. I don't need a language to do these gymnastics to do it.
I hear you.
Because I grew up in the world of PHP where I don't even think types exist.
They do. Like, it is an implied type, an inferred typed language, but
you can infer that your head is going to be on fire if you get in the weeds.
It's the WAT talk all over again.
It's the
object plus array equals object. Object minus array is not a number.
Some of the weird things PHP does are worse than what JavaScript does.
Yeah.
We should, but because that's the language I have the most experience in, I learned how to write code that was so extra paranoid to not have those problems. I write overly defensive code that I know will not break.
It's like a defensive driving. You know, you drive very knowing that somebody's going to try to kill you at any point.
Yes.
You have to be so protective and aware.
You know, next year is the 15th anniversary of the WAT talk. I might email Gary Bernhardt and be like, "Hey, you should do an updated version of this for all these cool new languages. Do it for Lua, do it for PHP, which isn't a cool new language, but still."
I'm sure Rust has wacky stuff you can use it for.
Yeah, did we ever figure out how to convert a U8 into an ASCII character? I did. Okay. I need to go back and look at that.
I did. Thankfully, they make it easy. Listen, I've only just started with it. I'm not going to start preaching it like it's the gospel or whatever. But I've really been enjoying what they call the DX, the developer experience of Rust. I've really been digging it. I think I'll try to. Jay was helping me. I want to work with MIDI files. It's the first time I've ever worked like writing bytes to a file, writing and reading bytes to a file. Because I want to make some utility that works with MIDI files, like I don't know, reads them or converts them or does some other guff to them. And it's like I'm reading. I look up like a PDF of like the MIDI standard. This PDF hasn't been updated in like 20 years. It is, and MIDI has basically been the same for like 40 years. And so like I feel like, okay, now we're getting down to this. No more of this high level stuff. No more of this JavaScript Python stuff. We're writing bytes. And I have to learn what least significant byte and most significant byte is, and this is like, if it's fun, it's really fun. I would not have guessed that this kind of, work would be fun, but
it gets to be addictive. The puzzle-solving nature of it really does get to be addictive. And I know we talked about aleatoric music before, and that would be like if you're writing your own MIDI files byte by byte. This would be a great opportunity to experiment with that a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what, Jay? It's weird. Like in the past year plus of me working computers, I've never really thought about doing anything with music. Like maybe until now, like trying to do with MIDI files. I've only done like little dilly dallying with any libraries that interact with audio at all.
Yeah,
but maybe now's the time.
You're gonna have your own second channel that just runs music for train stations 24/7.
That could be it. That could be it. Yeah, and there's a lot to learn from the world of musicians like what's his name, Karl Heinz Stockhausen. These people like jumped on computers decades and decades and decades ago to try to see like these newfangled computing machines. How can I use them to make music that sounds horrendous? Okay, I take that back, but still, like a lot of these early pioneers. I don't know, John Cage as well, although he didn't even need computers to do aleatoric music.
Yeah.
He looks and pulls out the I Ching and makes some cool stuff happen. So there's a lot of forerunners, a lot of musical forerunners in that regard. So
yeah, had a release like that as well. That was a piece of software that generated the music dynamically, so that it wasn't the same performance every time too.
So nice. It had just little itty bitty random numbers that multiplied,
Pretty much. But hey, it works.
Nice. God damn.
I'm definitely a fan of things in that vein, but it also goes hand in hand with being a fan of ambient music as a genre, if you will, for that matter.
You've done more than a few examples. I remember you have on your Sherdlu website.
Yeah, sherdlu.live. Let me drop a link to that one there too. Quick while it's still up.
Audio things using, I guess, Tone.js. Is that the main library you use for that?
Yeah, I wanted something that was web accessible, and that does the live synthesis of everything there. There are a couple pieces of sampled whatnot, but everything else is basically modeled synthesizer stuff. And the way it's combined is dynamic within a rule set, but dynamic nonetheless.
I'm a little pissy now that I didn't get into computers until recently, because back when I was in school, there was a whole music engineering department, and there were people that were really getting into the weeds of doing really cool stuff with computers and music. But just at the time, I had no interest in it. It was because it was just a different department.
I think you have to hit a point in your life where you hit a certain mindset before you can do that successfully too. I don't want to say you have to be a certain kind of person to appreciate computers, although there's a level of truth in that. But you have to be in the right mind frame to deal with the inevitable frustrations, for one thing. They've gotten a lot less oblique over time. Error messages have gotten helpful. Development environments have gotten a lot better. But there is still very much a plateaued set of steps when you're learning. And you have to be willing to hit the wall, is what it boils down to. They're padded now, but you have to be prepared for that to happen. You have to know you're going to get to a point and bang your head on the desk for 3 days, and then all of a sudden the answer will come to you.
It's like playing a Dark Souls game. I'm sure both of you have played those Souls-like games. Like you have those games, they force you to adopt a certain attitude, a certain mindset. You have to not just be okay with the frustration. You have to learn to love the frustration.
Lean into the pain.
You have to learn to embrace dying to the same boss over and over and over again until you figure out how to kill it.
I'm gonna have to gift some From Software games to Fuzzy, apparently.
No. I intentionally do not play those for that reason.
You're not into
I
it.
appreciate them. They're beautiful games. They're works of art. I do not like that type of game. Yeah. Dark Souls is the gaming equivalent of mashing the keyboard until the compiler stops emitting errors.
1,000 monkeys on 1,000.
Yes, that's how you play it. You just mash the keyboards until it compiles and there's no errors. But it's just blindly try this. Okay, that one fine. That method, if I dodge 3 times to the left and then 1 to the right, okay, I beat the boss. That's what playing Dark Souls is like.
Well, hopefully the idea is the theory being if you learn how to defeat one boss, you have a certain set of skills and you've observed certain things about how the game works.
Yeah.
And you won't have to start from square one when you get to the next boss because you've already learned some things. You've already learned why dodging is really good. Dodging is really powerful. And the bigger the boss is, the slower they move. So staying closer to the big boss is usually a good idea. You learn little things like that.
Oh, yeah. but all that is that reflects right back on doing software is you learn the million time you've had a problem where you had an off by one error with an array. You learn to handle your indexing a little bit better because you know that bug, if it happens, is a pain in the ass to track down. You learn if you're doing file access, you instinctively, as soon as you write a file open, you immediately put the file close command in there before you write the middle part, just to make sure you don't forget to close the file.
Oh man, that's another thing that it sounds really silly, but has been important for me to drill into my students. And if you are learning programming, this is a lesson to take to heart immediately. If you are editing text on a computer, you don't have to write it one line after another. I can put an opening brace and then a closing brace and put stuff in between them. I don't have to put the opening brace, then write my lines, then put one at the bottom. And getting in the habit of starting a thing, ending a thing, and then filling in everything in the middle has been, it's necessary. It is outright necessary.
That comes from, that's a old coder problem, because we grew up without syntax highlighting that would show you show you matching braces. We just had to know where the closing one was at. So you would put the open, put the close, and then fill it so you knew it was there. There's a whole different set of computers got easier. GPT exists, syntax, like better editors. Mm-hmm. It saves you from having to learn those mistakes, and that's good because now your brain doesn't have to be, you can focus on just writing the code you want and not fighting the language, which is why you're getting a whole different generation of programmers and a different set of products. Is editors and the programming experience got better, and you did not have to fight it. I did not have to whittle the car out of a solid block of metal before I drove it.
It's very true.
You just bought a library. You bought Honda.Accord.new or .used maybe.
Yeah.
I have Honda.element.used.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, and it feels great. And it's I feel so fortunate as a new person, and for you veterans, you can free up your brain space from tedious menial problems and use your brain space for interesting, actually hard problems.
It really does.
Fighting an editor, finding a curly brace that you forgot to close or whatever.
Yeah.
I've said this before. Visual Studio Code, just by nature of what it is my editor of choice. Everything I do on the computer, I have it open at all times, because if I'm going to be typing, the odds are pretty good I'm going to be typing into that window if I'm doing something. Even if I'm not writing a program, I have access to ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot right there in the environment. I have access to autocomplete if I'm going through and editing a large blob of data in some other format. It'll prettify it for me. It'll indent it and show me where everything belongs and tell me if I have things sorted properly. I have a button to alphabetize. I have a button to tabulate data and give me a sum the same way I do in Excel. It does the things that so many other programs used to, in addition to giving me a good environment to write programs. And it's those things. Those tools are superpowers. The better you learn to use your tools, the better you will be as a programmer. Not necessarily because you're smarter, but because there's less stuff in your way. And that's one of the reasons I've been trying to do the templating for some of the Hurgle games and the build processes, and not just how do I port this game to Android, but how can I set it up to move any game easily to Android? And all I'm trying to do, Larry Wall has famously said that the 3 virtues of a programmer are laziness, impatience, and hubris. And they don't sound virtuous, but there is a huge element of truth to it. I tell this story in interviews when I'm interviewing for a job, It is a question I ask when I'm interviewing someone else for a job. What is your greatest weakness? Which is the cliche question. And how do you make it your superpower? My answer, and I share this with candidates, I'm like, I know this question sounds weird. Let me give you context. My weakness is laziness. I don't want to work any harder than I have to. The way I make that work for me is any part of a process that I can automate, I do. That's one less thing I have to do. That's one less thing someone else has to do. And it really is the core of it. You are telling the machine how to do all the parts of something you don't want to do. If we're talking aleatoric music, you can throw dice and write, scribble on a score sheet. Or you can take all the mechanical parts of that are reproducible by a machine and let the machine do that part, And it's that much less effort you put into the parts that don't require a human. And that's software eating the world.
It's already in the world. Our computers are like horses, or like pack animals, like a mule that can do so much work for us.
Yeah,
let the computer do the computer parts.
Yeah. Who am I to take away the computer's work for? The computer's, it's there to do work. Why should I be doing work that the computer could be doing? I'm taking food, off the table of the computer's family. I do the human work. Computer does the computer work. There's a separation of responsibilities here.
That's one of the things that I hear brought up in the big AI debate going on right now, especially with art generators and music generators and things like that, is we've gotten to the point where the computers are the ones making the art and the poetry and the music while we crunch numbers and work in the mines. Wasn't it supposed to be the other way? Machines are supposed to do the grunt labor so we can be creative. But if you view it as another set of tools, don't think of an AI art generator as taking away from artists that want to create. Think of it as here is a ability to generate a starting point. If you want to edit or create, if you want to have a place of inspiration to start from, I wouldn't say use the output and claim it as your own. I did not draw this by hand after years of study. No. I understand that objection in saying that you are the artist. But at the same time, I see less of a problem with saying, I need this background for this one screen in this game. Generate something, clean it up until it looks the way I want.
Mm-hmm.
You
could think of it like Fuzzy's positive affirmation 8-ball, except instead of like, I don't know, 10 or 16 faces, it has like 2 billion faces, 2 billion possible affirmations to give to you.
Yeah. The other thing is there's a certain level. Okay, now I'm going to get a little bit out there. Thank you for indulging me in this up front. The purpose of a creative pursuit, the purpose of art is for you to express something in whatever your medium of choice is. And to me, there is a big difference between art and pictures. If I'm making a game and the game is my creation and I need a picture of a farm, I'm not tied to someone's expression. I do want people to be able to express whatever emotion or thought or whatever they want to convey, whatever their mimetics are, in their work of a farm. But if I need a picture of a farm and I cannot get to one with the camera, I'll turn to an AI. I will happily admit that I am not against that. But at the same time, I want to support the people creating the farm artwork for creating it for the purpose they intend. I just needed this picture now, and I don't care about it. There's my line.
What if the same way before Stable Diffusion, before AI, the Dolly muxing and all that, if you needed to picture something, you went and got stock photos.
Yeah.
Somebody actually took that photo and they sold it to giant corporation and it's in a library and you're like, photo farm, that one. Screw it. Just pick one. I just need a picture of a farm. If there was a way, somehow, if they kept the threads of traces of the metadata that here is these 6 different farm photos that the AI magic black box, smushed around and edited and gave you that picture. If those threads of those original art were in there and you could buy that generated thing and that money was un
A million
undone
times over.
and went back to even pennies, just
Yeah.
like, oh, your thing was used in part to make an image. Here is your song was played on the radio for 5 seconds. Here's your 25-cent royalty. Or it was sampled in this thing, and here's your royalty. Like the same, we have royalties for music. Like it was used in the background of a TV show. It was on, a show in the bar. Here's your royalty check for it, your residuals.
Now this
If there was some way to do that with AI to like keep track of those bits, that all those weights that went into that box, and then like pay your $5. We will, ASCAP, BMI, get it back to the people that it goes to in fractions. But if you're just like, I sold a stock image to be explicitly used into an AI brain, and I eventually see, fractions of pennies trickle out of that, would that be more ethical? Would you have any less problem doing AI art like that?
I feel like I personally would, because a lot of the complaint right now is that many of the models were trained without the express explicit consent of the creators whose works they were trained on. I do have to ask, did you see this idea somewhere already? Is someone working on this?
No.
Do you have plans for this weekend?
It's more.
It's coming on.
It's more. This exists in any other medium. If you use it, even in some small part, the money can flow back because there is a chain of ownership through it.
That is something I would really like to see. Yeah.
If the AI libraries were built on what's the giant stock library site? I can't think of it.
Shutterstock.
Yeah. If it was trained on just a known attributable, they have sold the rights to this image data set, and not we web scraped all of DeviantArt.
Oh God.
I would have a lot less problem with it. Yeah. You didn't see that story?
I did not see that story.
There was a email leak between some of the top people at Dolly, and they explicitly were like, go target these people. They have better art. They render in there. They're more usable. And they explicitly were targeting a bunch of specific sites and artists on specific sites, namely like some of the top creators on like DeviantArt and stuff, to scrape, to feed into their AI seeds. And it's like, oh, this wasn't, oh, I just found whatever. Like, no, they were specifically actively stealing stuff and putting it in there.
That explains some things. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how some of like the fantasy stuff. Anytime you get like pictures of dragons or fairies and stuff, that's all coming from DeviantArt. That's all somebody's like just random doodles they put up.
FrankFrazetta.com. Yeah.
Speaking of magic cards, there's some records of magic cards.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why we are launching a chess game.
Yeah.
It should be out right now, but it's kind of broken, so we haven't really said anything about it. I needed a placeholder art to put on the card thing to get because it's not going to be on Hergel. We needed a way to put a game in that list that wasn't on Hergel, because we're looking at games that are literally in the folders of the website. So I needed a placeholder to put on there to link off to the other site. And I just clicked on the Copilot thing in the corner. I'm like, 2 fantasy characters playing chess. I just needed something. I needed chess, but I wanted something to look at. And I was showing Jay, like, okay, it works. It's pinned. It's external URL. It's like, wait, what is that image? I want that. Should we use it? I'm like, no, because I don't know where it came from. Moral issues about just using generated stuff. It looks too much like something somebody would have drawn. So we didn't use it.
but it's
And I was
gorgeous. So the first thing I did is say, "Can you send me that image?" And
Yeah.
I wish that I did not have those ethical concerns, because I would love to use this. And I wish that I had the money to pay an actual artist and say, "I want this, but for real. I do not want you to individual pixel copy it, but this is the scene I want. Give it to me in your style." Because this is exactly what I would love to have for the daily chess Sudoku site. This is amazing, and man, that's just so cool.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Their feet are on the chessboard. How do you play like this? Their feet are on the chessboard.
I-
The chessboard is 6, 7, 8. It's 9 by 6. Cool chessboard. I'm into it.
Well, it's
I'll
also
play
Sudoku. It's not the 9. I understand. It's Sudoku.
Rectangular Sudoku. Yeah,
My prompt was make me an image of 2 fantasy characters playing chess. That's all I gave it. I did not say a fairy or a gnome, or it's literally all I said is play. It could have been them playing normal real chess, but this is what I got.
I'm gonna move my dragon to G3.
You sunk my battleship. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is
Like I said before, we really are like, it feels like we're really on a frontier. Like there's wacky stuff happening in this AI field all the time.
definitely
That fracas last year with OpenAI with the board of directors thing. Like what that sounds like it's from like a movie. That sounds like some Hollywood.
Oh man, no, you know that movie's coming. You know,
yeah,
that
this
from
is the social network for OpenAI. Everyone's like, oh, Hollywood's already casting people once that weekend, they're already
Weekend at Altman's.
we saw that with Theranos with Liz Holmes. The minute that business started to go south, people were like, "I want the rights. I want the rights. I want to tell this story because I'm gonna get the nickels that they should have."
At least like this kind of cool stuff is happening. What's happening in music? It's like, oh, Spotify is doing weird stuff again. Okay, I shouldn't be so reductive, but like it's interesting that there's news to pay attention to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like things are happening, which is really neat.
The music scene at that level has been a little stale. A ton of artists each back their own independent streaming service, and now there's some degree of competition between them. But everyone uses Spotify. I don't, but everyone does.
Well, Jay, you were moaning before about how you don't like change, but I feel like professionals like you two, like computer professionals like you two, I feel like similar to doctors, where doctors have to have like so-called like continuing education. Like every year they're mandated to keep current on new topics and technologies.
And
like
that
I feel
doesn't
like
exist in software.
Well, I feel like for you two, like you have to naturally have a kind of, you have to naturally pay attention to new technologies, new things that are coming out, new platforms, new whatever. It's part of your job. Like you wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff if you weren't already interested in.
Well, the thing is, the U.S. is one of the few places where that is the case too. In most other Western countries, at least, a software engineer is an engineer, iron ring and all. I'm pretty sure Jamie's got the iron ring.
It's a protected title.
And that requires a certification. That requires continuing education. I gotta remember to ask Jamie about that. I know that a software engineer, a computer engineer, is a protected title in Canada. I want to ask him if he's part of the Society of Engineers. Does he have the ring? Does he have that?
There is something like that for software. There's a specific computer engineer club association thing.
Is it like through the ACM or?
Yeah, it's like something like that, but it's like computer operators or something. That is a very specific protected thing. That's like it's like oh, I sell houses versus I am a realtor. It's a specific title, like, and protected and stuff, and it means something. And if you are in this computer club thing that I don't remember the name of it, it's like it actually means a thing like that, and they have meetings. It's very structured, and it's like you are a for real computer person versus I know things and I do them for money. It's like I am an actual like accredited computer person.
Well, we also have, every provider's individual accreditation programs. AWS, you can get all sorts of Amazon certifications. Google,
Yeah.
whatever they have, you can get their certifications. Microsoft's had them forever. Cisco's had them forever. God help us, Oracle, go get the checkbook. I've actually given some consideration to getting some AWS certifications, not for professional as in day job reasons, but because it's a
Just
technology I'm
use the
going to
service
need to know
better?
everywhere. Yeah. It's knowledge that transfers anywhere that uses their service, and theirs is one of the biggest and least worst.
It'll be very practical just to learn more as much as you can about it straight from the source.
Yeah. And to be able to
When-
prove that I know it.
When my last job, we were decommissioning a bunch of servers like inside the company, and we're like moving stuff to the cloud because we were like, for the amount of time we pay IT to manage our web server for the company website, like we could just pay like Google some money for like Google Cloud storage and just host it there and not have to like pay anybody internally to deal with it. So we moved everything to the cloud, and it was all new technology for us. And I just went off one weekend and I like watched a bunch of YouTube videos and took some like boot camp style, like here, learn Google Cloud compute stuff, like a whole course of it, and just spent like a whole like 48 hours just crash coursing my own stuff. And I came back on Monday, I'm like, okay, I know how to do all this. Okay, it's all done. I'm like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I went to school over the weekend. It's not that hard technology. It's fairly narrow. I watched 20 hours of videos. I'm an expert now.
in the music side of my life, especially with older people, not exclusively, but you meet people that you can describe that can be described as sticks in the mud. People that are sort of very set in their ways. The best music came out when you were 14 years old. This kind of thing. And I feel like of course, these people do exist in the world of computers. There are sticks in the mud, people that think if you don't know C, you're not a real programmer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like just that attitude is generally less is less in the world of computers. People are generally more. I feel. You tell me if I'm wrong. You two have much more experience, but I generally feel like the attitudes are more open and more embracing of new ideas and new technologies within the world of computers.
I would say that you're pretty right in that most people are much more accepting of new technologies, but a lot of that relates to the speed at which technology changes. Everybody loves the music that came out when they were 14, but during that same 365 days, we went through 4 generations of a compiler, 2 new languages, a whole new framework. The speed of change keeps it from getting stale. And yeah, there's going to be the old guard claiming you need to know this or that or you're not a real whatever. But, you can know true Scotsman all you like about it. The point is, if you're using something now, you are as legitimate as anybody else.
What in the world of machine learning development, what is the dominant programming language used in that space?
Right now,
all Python.
It's all Python, yeah.
It's all Python. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the first language that I really worked with. You with me, Jay. I worked with C, and Python's the first one I could really like grip onto and say, "Wow, I can actually do something."
Do you know why it's Python though?
Because
it's the only one that can handle that large of stack and memory. All the languages are so.
They also have an advantage in the fact that, for the same reason you could pick up Python so well, it's easy to read and digest. There are less strict archaic rules and structure that doesn't make sense in an English language sense. You can read as if it were prose most of a Python program. And as machine learning was growing, the academics, the researchers who were building the theories needed an easy way to implement it. and the easiest language to pick up was Python. You know, people that didn't have the computer background but had the statistical background or the analytical background could move it to a computer using Python with very minimal intervention. There are a lot of statistical languages like R that are designed specifically for the heavy lifting of numbers. But you have to know R to get started. You don't have to know Python to write a Python program. Yeah.
R is a cliff to get over. It's not.
Yeah.
You have to learn R to use it. You slowly get better at Python over time.
It's the dwarf fortress of programming languages.
It's the Haskell of programming languages.
The curve is a cliff. You just run head first into. Oh, that's good. You know, it really warms my heart. I remember a while ago, Jay, our mutual friend Danny Music, who's a Philly musician. I don't know his computer programming background. I'm not sure how extensive his training is, but I remember he shared with me he was working on a song list utility written in Python, and I remember like I'd never heard him talk about computers at all. As far as I know, he didn't have a background in it.
He just kind of showed up out of nowhere with that and was able to put together something that looked like it was, you know, aiming for functional for what our needs were.
Yeah, he had a problem related to a song list utility, something that kept track of songs in the queue and songs on the song list. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, that's such a beautiful thing that.
Is he the one that was playing Sea of Stars in French?
Yes, that is Danny.
Okay, that makes total sense. His brain is wired differently. He would go off and accidentally learn Python one weekend for a song list. Yes,
he's a totally brilliant. He's a fantastic musician. He plays the theremin, which is a crazy instrument for anybody to play in the 21st century. It's a 100-year-old instrument. Yeah. There's nothing to program. Like there's nothing solid state in there.
Yeah,
I'm sure nowadays. I'm sure, but like
no, I want to build a robot. I don't want to program the hands to play the theremin.
Servos on.
Think about it though. If this hand, basically you're dealing with two XY coordinates produce a tone. So it's move the hands to here to make this note, do this wobble, do this like. Put in the whole, how theremin operate. You know the gestures. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you've got an idea here. We need to get you a Lego Mindstorms kit or like a Rob.
Yes,
a Rob with
that's what Python was. That's the thing. That's what Python was. Lego Mindstorms for people who wanted to go into robotics because they could just get started with it real easy. Mm-hmm. That's what Python is. You can just start.
Let me add this to my notes to self in my Discord real quick. I'll switch over to my channel.
Theremin bot.
NES Rob playing theremin.
Jay's going to see, do we have an Arduino laying around?
I'm sure we do. I think we may have to make this happen.
Got a couple servos.
And Sure says there's a band called Captured by Robots that does that.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos of the instrument playing robots, but there's not one that does the theremin yet that I've seen. And NES Rob would be perfect for that.
If anything, the theremin would be the perfect one to do that because it's so open to interpretation and non-exact. You wouldn't have to be exactly perfect. You know, it'd be like fuzzy, loose music, but and so your robot hands could be not exact. I didn't have to go exactly to this millimeter precision. Your servo could be a little sloppy because it's a theremin. It is fuzzy and wobbly.
Yeah.
Danny, his head is just hurting right now from the vibes of that conversation, though.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant. Golly, so it's a lot of fun. I've really been enjoying my time with computer stuff. And again, Jay, I can't thank you enough for holding my hand and being such a fantastic communicator.
Oh man, it's absolutely been my pleasure. I want to assure you that I live for this stuff. So.
Yeah, man.
I love hearing the stories. I love hearing the secondhand wash effect of
Yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, I'm dragging. I was up to 6 a.m. working on a program with Jackson. I'm like, okay, tell me what he's writing now. And he recants your stories and what you guys are working on and stuff. Like, it's so great to watch your journey happen in real time.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't happen. It's like, yeah, I went to school, I learned some program. It's like, yeah, but that happens away and over time. Like, no, this is happening now.
Yeah.
You are actively doing this. And
you can hit his site and jump in his Discord and see the fruits of his labors immediately. That's the biggest thing about programming that I love is the immediate feedback. That's one of the other things that makes it such an addictive hobby. Is immediate results. You press a button and a thing that you did is happening, is extant. It happens. This is going on now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And especially with the conveniences that we have nowadays, you can make a thing now and also share it with all your people like immediately.
Yeah.
Throw it up on GitHub or deploy it on some AWS thing, and show your friends. Yeah, or itch, or make a bot in Discord. You can make in 10 minutes. Like you can show people. Just before this, I showed Jay some Rust code. I'm like, I'm trying to make a terminal game in Rust. Here's my horrible here's my horrible game loop. I have to work on making it less horrible. Editing is easier than writing from scratch. So I'm just gonna make the shittiest game loop you've ever seen. This is the worst for loop or the worst while true ever.
Stream it. There's a whole software category on Twitch now because of this. Stream it. Just get on there and just talk. Treat your camera as your rubber duck and just talk yourself through it. You don't have to read chat, close chat. Just talk what you're doing as you're typing. It doesn't have to be good. Just do it. People watch this stuff.
If you're worried about damaging your partnership, open a second channel. Just call it Jiggy Backwards or whatever the hell.
I have whatever. Listen, man, I have whatever the Twitch equivalent of like tenure is. I would have to commit multiple murders or something to get the partner ripped away, because I got it when they were giving it away.
Yeah.
Like I should have lost my partnership 10,000 times over.
Can you lose partnership? Do they ever demote people or just?
I'm sure. Whether it can happen.
Taken away, not just like. Okay, you haven't met your quota. Yeah.
Like if there was some system to automatically revoke your partnership if you met certain numbers or below something, I would have lost it years and years and years ago. So I'm in proof that whatever that system is probably doesn't exist.
No.
Fair.
So yeah, that's not even a worry. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I would like the experience though. Like if I want to doing something to practice with Rust, I would love it if some crusty like someone who's been using Rust since day one, like a real a true believer,
a neckbeard with a crab tattoo, yeah.
What's it? A Ferris tattoo right there. Someone who just lives and breathes in Rust could just tell me all the idiomatic things. Here's what the documentation won't tell you. Do it this way. This is the real good way.
Yeah. There's so much stuff in software engineering that still, weirdly enough, is tribal knowledge. It is old timers passing down things to new and that is starting to fall apart because people are remote. They're not in offices. They're not talking to each other. They're learning independently because they can now. It is not overlapping generations. That is falling apart, and it's independent things. It's not forever overlapping. It's new self standalone complex sprouts of programmers happening that did not learn the old ways, and that's a good thing.
Like Rust, for example, Rust was created as a C++ alternative. These are people that were sick and tired of writing in C++ and frustrated with it. Let's have something that gives us the same power of C++, but with better ergonomics, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm coming into Rust, and I'm sure many other people like me are coming into Rust, never have worked with C++ ever, not even one time. We don't even know what it's an alternative to. It's like, here's just a cool thing. That's
what C++ was. It was an alternative to C.
That was to C.
Yeah.
And C was before it to, I don't know, BASIC or Algo or COBOL or whatever. Basic or Fortran or
No.
Ada.
Ada.
It was Ada, and then what was
BCPL was the other one. BCPL.
Yeah. That's why it's called C. Is
After
it
B.
came after
that
B.
was yeah.
Yeah.
Back in
somewhere
my
around here
day.
I have the Kernighan and Ritchie book too, like the original one. Like
the original,
from-
and we still have
Yeah.
a Brian Kernighan. It's cool, and it's also cool how many of these pioneers are still around today. Brian Kernighan's still around today. Bjorn Strostrup, he's still around kicking today. Linus Torvalds has been working Linux kernel for 30 plus years.
He made Git because he was pissed off at SVN.
Yeah. And
it
SVN
was a rage project.
SVN was a better CVS.
And like compare, talking back to again, like I used to be much more into the classical music world. That used to be where my heart really was. I wanted to be a symphony orchestra player, and the people that are revered in classical music spaces, they've all been dead for centuries.
Yeah.
These old European composers that are so widely regarded. You see it on any program today, certainly any opera company and many orchestra companies. These are by old dead composers, and nowadays, Guido von Rossmus is still alive. All of these like forerunners, people that are well revered. Who made Unix? Was that Ritchie? Or I forget his name. The guy who made Unix is still around, I think. Dennis Ritchie. Yeah. Dennis Ritchie is the other one.
What you call Unix actually?
GNU plus.
Yeah.
What you refer to as Linux is GNU plus Linux or whatever.
Yeah.
The point is like so many of these people are still okay. Ada Lovelace is passed away, and Alan Turing. These are like the even older progenitors, but like it's remarkable how many of these people that made tools that are used all around the world they're alive, and a lot of them are even still working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is bizarre. Just bizarre again, coming from like my classical background. Where these
it's the same thing in a lot of pursuits. Yes, there are popular artists now that have a lot of notoriety, but if you ask someone in the visual arts field, name a painting, they are going to name a painting from someone that's been dead for centuries. You're going to get the Mona Lisa. You're going to get
or Banksy.
Yeah,
name a Banksy piece maybe. Well,
I'm pretty sure Banksy doesn't exist anyway. Banksy's an AI.
Now we have Ganksy. We have Chat GP Tanksy.
Yeah. There's your tagline for the episode. Banksy's AI.
For the name of it, yeah. Somebody actually, some folks actually did it, and I don't know if they could sell the pieces or if they managed to sell them, but there you go. I bet multiple people have done this by now.
I wouldn't doubt it. There are no fresh ideas under the sun, just different combinations.
When I was in school, when I was in college, I studied music composition. So like it's a really weird field where like when I was in school there, like it was such a vibrant environment from what I was doing, being a composer. Like it was, I had people that many of the musicians, the student musicians, they were very willing to play music that me and other composers would write. A lot of them were super enthusiastic about, I want to play your music and we can do the back and forth thing. And it was such a fun environment. And contrasted to you get out, you leave school, you go into the real world where it's like you have to work so much harder to get recognition or to get interest in new music because paying audiences, generally speaking, unless in really artsy fartsy big city corners, are not interested in that.
Yeah, they want the laser show. They want the John Williams. That's what they consider classical music. They want the Danny Elfman scores over and over and over again.
And I'm not going to complain about that. I don't think that's necessarily even a bad thing, but that's just the reality of the professional world
as a performer. Yeah, I'm sure you run into that a lot at your restaurant gig too.
It's a fun time. But for my last comment, I think something that really is helping me in my computer programming journey is that I'm not doing it for money.
Yeah,
and I have no interest in pursuing it as a job, and I think that really helps a lot. Like, I feel like if I did some boot camp or something like that and got like some crusty web job, it's like, okay, convert these corporate goals into React components. I feel like that would really kind of.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
so you did.
That's why I quit. That's why I ended up quitting that eventually. By quitting, I just stopped caring until they fired me.
Yeah, there you go. And so when that's your job is to not really be very innovative,
Yeah.
that can be rough. And you have to do the job because you got to pay those gimmicks in the mail.
I'm lucky enough to be able to turn my skill into money, but I write software because I am compelled to. I would still be doing it if I didn't get paid. I did that for 20 years before I started getting paid, you know. And it really does make a world of difference if you are doing it because you are interested, if you are doing it because you are passionate about it. If you happen to turn it into money, okay, cool. Late stage capitalism is a dystopian hellscape anyway, but if it, puts rice in the tea kettle, you're good. But you're doing it because you want to do it, and that will make you better at it. 100%.
And really, the exact same thing can be said about music as well.
Yeah.
For just to tie that back in. If I wasn't getting paid to do music, the little bit that I am, it would still be a part of my life, and I'd still be wanting to develop it.
Yeah,
I should take up music for fun to balance the world. You're going from music and you're learning programming. I'm going from programming. I should start taking up music as a hobby just to balance the forces.
We will teach you the melodica. I will teach you the melodica.
You know how much I hate that stupid thing, but you know what? It has purpose, I guess.
I'm gonna learn to play the recorder.
Join my band. You can play the vibra slap.
The recorder is the scratch of musical instruments. That's
yes,
how my little kids learn it.
Perfect.
Very good.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Little kids don't learn the recorder to become recorder professional. Almost nobody does that. We know the one French guy who's really good at jazz recorder, but nobody does that. It's a learning tool. It's a stepping stone. It's like Esperanto is used in a similar way.
The recorder is why Jay and I met.
Yeah.
Oh no! In music class, and
I was walking home from school and I was throwing my recorder high as I could in the air because I hated it, and it got stuck in a tree branch. And he was walking home because we lived on parallel streets, so we walked the same path. And he's like, "Hi, what you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm trying to throw something to get my recorder out of the tree." He's like, "Why did you record in the tree?" Because I threw it up in the tree and it got stuck. He's like, "Cool, you want to be friends? I'll help you get it out." And I'm like, "Sure." I swear to God, I was in first grade. That's how we met.
Fuzzy added to your contacts.
Good times.
Yeah,
I put him in my Rolodex, and
my name is Fuzzy. What's your name? That's very sweet. That's a beautiful origin story. And the recorder is still there to this day, I'm sure.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That tree's gone.
It's stuck in that tree. Oh.
It's still stuck in the tree. The tree's just gone now. Somewhere in the city landfill, buried in a pile of mulch, there's a mulched recorder.
Mm-hmm.
It did eventually fall out of the tree. I was walking home another day and I saw it in the yard. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's mine because I don't think another recorder would be in this person's yard below the spot.
You're walking home and some other kid says, "Have you seen my recorder? I threw it in a tree. I don't know where it is." Oh my days. That's funny.
I think I burned about enough of your evening. Thank you very much for joining us, Jackson. Fuzzy, and it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you both, Fuzzy and Jay. I appreciate you both. You guys are real pros.
I appreciate that,
and I appreciate you having me on.
Anytime you get bored, we will be here. And speaking of being here, for all the rest of you, remember we are here every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. If you can't remember that, come join in the Discord, which I will link now. We post before we go live, or at least I try to remember to. It's also where you can catch up with my music shows on Friday, my development streams whenever I do them. I will be posting there about Hergel game nights. Just come join the Discord. Come hang out with us. Aunt BJ, much love to you. I will make sure we tell you all about this and get you the link to the recording. As far as everyone else, thank you for joining us this evening, and we will see you next time.
Hey, I'm BJ. Have a good night, everybody.